Blythe, California. Blythe is a city in Riverside County, California, United States, in the Palo Verde Valley of the lower Colorado River Valley region, an agricultural area and part of the Colorado Desert along the Colorado River, approximately 224 miles, 360 kilometers, east of Los Angeles and 150 miles, 240 kilometers, west of Phoenix. Blythe was named after Thomas H. Blythe, a San Francisco financier, who established primary water rights to the Colorado River in the region in 1877. The city was incorporated on July 21, 1916. The population was 20,817 at the 2010 census. History. In the early or mid-1870s, William Callaway, known as Oliver Callaway in some sources, an engineer and a former captain of the 1st California Infantry Regiment, explored an area across the Colorado River from Ehrenberg, Arizona, and found its potential for development. Callaway made preliminary surveys and filed land claims under the Swampland Act of 1850. He interested the wealthier Thomas Henry Blythe, real last name Williams, who was born in Mold, Wales, to undertake development and settlement of an empire located next to the Colorado. On July 17, 1877, Blythe filed his first claim for Colorado River water on what was to become the Blythe Intake. Blythe appointed another man named George Irish as manager to assist Callaway in building an irrigation system. Callaway died in a Chemehuevi attack in March 28, 1880, and was replaced by C.C. Miller, the father of Frank Augustus Miller. Thomas Blythe died on April 4, 1883, his only revisit to the valley was in November 1882. After his death, the work in the valley halted and Blythe's estate subsequently went into litigation between his illegitimate daughter Florence and other claimants, the trial beginning on 1889. By the 1900s, Florence was awarded the estate, after several years of preceding rulings in favor of her and appeals against her. Frank Murphy and Ed Williams, who were involved on the cattle industry in southeastern Arizona, came to the area in 1904 and were convinced it was well suited for cattle and farming. With the Hobson brothers from Ventura County, they bought Blythe's estate and formed the Palo Verde Land and Water Company. During 1911-1912, W.F. Holt, who helped develop nearby Imperial Valley, was the company's general manager. On August 8, 1916, the California Southern Railroad reached Blythe from the desert station of Rice, then known as Blythe Junction. It was later renamed to honor G.W. Rice, an engineer and superintendent of the railroad. The dramatic growth in the valley following this event attracted national attention. Production totals increased annually from virtually nothing to near $8 million in few years, primarily from cotton and cottonseed shipped to the ports. The lower cotton prices in 1920 ended this prosperous time. The Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway began leasing the line in 1921 and acquired it in the end of 1942. In 1935, the completion of Boulder Dam extinguished the destructive annual floods in the valley. As noted in the city's 50th anniversary, some 40 crops were grown in the farms, and large cattle feeds were another aspect of the agriculture industry. Nearly 2 decades earlier, the Fisher Ranch had the biggest herd of registered Brahman cattle in California, the breeding stock having been sold to western states and other countries. During World War II, Blythe was the site of United States Army Air Force's facilities in the Blythe Airport and the Gary Field. The first automobile bridge over the Colorado River between Blythe and Ehrenberg was constructed in 1928 to replace a cable ferry service. The bridge's successor was built in the early 1960s and it was expanded to 4 lanes and a pedestrian walkway in early 1974. In 1972, Interstate 10 was built through the city, replacing US 60 and the previously decommissioned US 70 in Hobson Way as the main thoroughfare. In 2016, the voter-approved recreational use of cannabis in California has made the cannabis industry drawn to the economically declined city due to lower land prices, water, and potentially lower taxes compared to other parts of the state. One of the proposed cannabis facilities, Palo Verde Center, would be one of the largest in North America. Geography and climate. Blythe is located near the California/Arizona border in the Colorado Desert section of the Sonoran Desert, at the junction of Interstate 10 and US 95. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 27.0 square miles, 70 square kilometers, of which 26.2 square miles, 68 square kilometers, is land and 0.8 square miles, 2.1 square kilometers, 2.9%, is water. Nearby communities include Lost Lake and Vital to the north, Ripley to the south, Desert Center to the west, and Ehrenberg, Arizona, to the east. Major cities in the region include Yuma, 85 miles, Indio, 95 miles, Phoenix, 150 miles, San Bernardino, 170 miles, Riverside, 172 miles, and Las Vegas, 200 miles. Blythe is within 4 hours viaduct car of 10% of the United States population. Blythe has a hot desert climate, featuring extremely hot summers and mild winters. There are an average of 178.4 days with highs of 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 degrees Celsius, or higher. There are an average of 18.9 days with lows of 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, or lower. Until 2016, the record high temperature was 122 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 degrees Celsius, on July 7, 1920, and June 24, 1929. But on June 20, 2016, that long-standing record was shattered when Blythe reached 124 degrees Fahrenheit, 51 degrees Celsius. The record low temperature was 5 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees C, on January 6, 1913. There are an average of 16 days with measurable precipitation. The wettest year was 1951 with 8.71 inches, 22.1 centimeters, and the driest year was 1956 with 0.18 inches, 0.46 centimeters. The most rainfall in one month was 6.00 inches, 15.2 centimeters, in August 1951, which included the 24-hour record rainfall of 3.06 inches, 7.8 centimeters, on August 27. At the airport, there are an average of 176.0 days with highs of 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 degrees Celsius, or higher. There are an average of 5.4 days with lows of 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, or lower. The record high temperature was 124 degrees Fahrenheit, 51 degrees Celsius, on June 20, 2016. The record low temperature was 20 degrees Fahrenheit, 7 degrees C, on January 8, 1971. There are an average of 17 days with measurable precipitation. The wettest year was 1992 with 9.16 inches, 23.3 centimeters, and the driest year was 1953 with 0.59 inches, 1.5 centimeters. The most rainfall in one month was 5.92 inches, 15.0 centimeters, in August 1951, which included the 24-hour record rainfall of 3.00 inches, 7.6 centimeters, on August 26. Average seasonal temperatures. Also notable is the geological history of Blythe. Despite California's reputation for earthquakes, according to geologists, Blythe has not had an earthquake centered in the city for over 500,000 years. Local features. Tourism is a major component of the local economy. Blythe is a stopover city with full services for travelers between any of the nearby regions, in particular the major cities of Los Angeles and Phoenix, since it is approximately midway between those two metropolitan areas. The winter months bring visitors avoiding the colder climates of the north, when the population of the area within 50 miles, 80 kilometers, of Blythe has been known to exceed 500,000. Conway Freight has a large facility here. It is used mainly at night for cross-dock operations, as there is seldom a need to make deliveries here. Blythe also contains 24 churches, 1 library, 2 newspapers, Palo Verde Valley Times, The Desert Independent, 2 museums, 2 radio stations, KERU-FM and KJMB-FM, 3 banks, a 3-screen movie theater, now closed, 1 funeral home and an 18,500 square feet, 1,720 square meters. Recreation Center. The area is popular with campers and hikers and has 6 parks, 7 campgrounds, 7 RV parks, 3 boat ramps onto the Colorado River, and an 18-hole public golf course. Blythe hosts the Blythe Bluegrass Festival annually the 3rd weekend of January. Dove hunting is popular in Blythe. The hunting season starts every September 1st. Demographics. 2010. The 2010 United States Census reported that Blythe had a population of 20,817. The population density was 771.8 people per square mile, 298.0/km2. The racial makeup of Blythe was 12,396, 59.5%. White, 28.3%. Non-Hispanic white, 3,126, 15.0%. African American, 243, 1.2%. Native American, 319, 1.5%. Asian, 32, 0.2%. Pacific Islander, 4,045, 19.4%, from other races, and 656, 3.2%, from 2 or more races. Hispanic or Latino of any race were 11,068 persons, 53.2%. The census reported that 12,972 people, 62.3% of the population, lived in households, 82, 0.4%, lived in non-institutionalized group quarters, and 7,763, 37.3%, were institutionalized. There were 4,513 households, out of which 1,972, 43.7%, had children under the age of 18 living in them, 1,995, 44.2%, were opposite-sex married couples living together, 855, 18.9%, had a female householder with no husband present, 344, 7.6%, had a male householder with no wife present. There were 396, 8.8%, unmarried opposite-sex partnerships, and 24, 0.5%, same-sex married couples or partnerships. 1,071 households, 23.7%, were made up of individuals, and 367, 8.1%, had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.87. There were 3,194 families, 70.8% of all households. The average family size was 3.41. The population was spread out with 4,157 people, 20.0%, under the age of 18, 1,770 people, 8.5%, aged 18 to 24, 7,332 people, 35.2%, aged 25 to 44, 5,764 people, 27.7%, aged 45 to 64, and 1,794 people, 8.6%, who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 38.0 years. For every 100 females, there were 218.1 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 268.1 males. There were 5,473 housing units at an average density of 202.9 per square mile, 78.3/km2, of which 2,358, 52.2%, were owner-occupied, and 2,155, 47.8%, were occupied by renters. The homeowner vacancy rate was 4.0%, the rental vacancy rate was 10.3%. 6,913 people, 33.2% of the population, lived in owner-occupied housing units, and 6,059 people, 29.1%, lived in rental housing units. According to the 2010 United States Census, Blythe had a median household income of $48,327, with 16.1% of the population living below the federal poverty line. A large portion of the city's population are inmates in the Chuckawalla Valley and Ironwood state prisons. Both hold up to 3,000 prisoners each. 2000. As of the census of 2000, there were 12,155 people, 4,103 households, and 2,974 families residing in the city. The population density was 501.5 people per square mile, 193.6/km2. There were 4,891 housing units at an average density of 201.8 per square mile, 77.9/km2. The racial makeup of the city was 55.4% white, 8.3% black or African American, 1.4% Native American, 1.4% Asian, 0.2% Pacific Islander, 28.8% from other races, and 4.5% from two or more races. 45.8% of the population were Hispanic or Latino of any race. There were 4,103 households, out of which 41.4% had children under the age of 18 living with them, 50.0% were married couples living together, 16.6% had a female householder with no husband present, and 27.5% were non-families. 22.9% of all households were made up of individuals, and 7.1% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.91 and the average family size was 3.45. In the city, the population was spread out, with 33.9% under the age of 18, 8.7% from 18 to 24, 28.4% from 25 to 44, 19.0% from 45 to 64, and 9.9% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 31 years. For every 100 females, there were 99.2 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 97.0 males. The median income for a household in the city was $35,324, and the median income for a family was $40,783. Males had a median income of $32,342 versus $26,671 for females. The per capita income for the city was $14,424. About 19.0% of families and 20.9% of the population were below the poverty line, including 24.9% of those under age 18 and 21.6% of those age 65 or over. Latinos. Alike the Coachella Valley in Riverside County and Imperial Valley on the Mexican border, Blythe has a large Hispanic and Mexican population. It can reach up to 72% in the harvest seasons in the area's agricultural economic sector. Blythe and nearby Imperial County are the largest Latino percentage regions in California and the USA. And the southeastern end of California is the state's poorest region, with lower income residents make up over half of the year-round population. Politics. In the California State Legislature, Blythe is in the 40th Senate District represented by Democrat Denise Moreno Duchesne and, in the 56th Assembly District, represented by Democrat Eduardo Garcia. In the United States House of Representatives, Blythe is in California's 36th Congressional District, represented by Democrat Raul Ruiz. Sports. Public services. State and federal agencies. State facilities in the town include the following. Federal facilities in the town include the following. Safety. Blythe has its own police department and volunteer fire department. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department also has a regional station in Blythe. Emergency medical services are provided by American Medical Response, which staffs 2 paramedic ambulances in the city 24 hours a day. Education. Blythe area public elementary and secondary schools comprise the Palo Verde Unified School District, which contains 3 elementary schools and 1 high school, and continuation/adult education school. Palo Verde Community College District is part of the California Community College System and includes Palo Verde College in Blythe and an educational center in Needles. As of 2012, there is 1 private nonprofit school, the Desert Learning Center, for grades K-8. Transportation. Interstate 10 crosses Blythe on an east-west direction. State Route 78's northern terminus is west of Blythe. U.S. Route 95 crosses Blythe in the eastern side. Lovekin Boulevard and Midland Road serves the ghost town of Midland. Blythe Airport, BLH, is just west of the town on Interstate 10 and has a 6,500-foot, 2,000 m, runway. Blythe was served in rail by the Arizona and California Railroad but currently has no rail service since an embargo in late 2007 and abandonment in 2009. Blythe is served by Palo Verde Valley Transit Agency. Greyhound stops in Blythe. Healthcare. Health facilities in Blythe include Palo Verde Hospital, a general acute care hospital with 55 total beds and 24-hour standby emergency services, 23 physicians/surgeons, 2 dentists, 2 optometrists, 1 chiropractor, and 1 podiatrist. Cemetery. The Palo Verde Cemetery District maintains the Palo Verde Cemetery. Local law enforcement. Blythe has its own police department, the Blythe Police Department, who patrol Blythe. However, the highways in and around Blythe are managed by California Highway Patrol and the nearby Riverside County patrolled by Riverside County Sheriff's Department, who also run the county jail.